So guys, now in this video we will talk about the JavaScript basics. So this is from a pen testing point of view to know about the basics of JavaScript. But if you want in-depth JavaScript, there are a lot of YouTube channels out there teaching this JavaScript. So even when you're doing some certifications like OSCP, OSWE, you don't need to write any JavaScript code from scratch. All you have to do is you need to understand the JavaScript code and what it is doing. So even the members who got the OSWE also said this one, like you need to just code review and identify the vulnerable functions, and you need to pass the exam. So you don't need to write the JavaScript from basics. So basic understanding of the JavaScript is enough, because if you want to go in depth of JavaScript, it is like ocean. JavaScript is like a nightmare. And this JavaScript is a programming language, yes, because we can do some logical operations, and we can also do the object oriented programming in this JavaScript. That's why it is called programming language. In HTML and CSS we cannot do any of that. So this JavaScript is a client side programming language. That means it will execute on the client's browser. So whenever this JavaScript has been loaded into the browser, it will be gets executed. So this is up to now this is the only language that will execute in the browser. But in 2020 there is another language called WebAssembly. It is also coming in a wide way, and so many developers are learning that to implement in their website. So let's talk about this JavaScript. So it is used for basic client side validations. Suppose if you have username and the password, and JavaScript will first defines like username you enter should be like 8 characters minimum, and if you enter the email in the text field, then JavaScript tells us that you should have symbol in this mail. If you did not put the then it will say like email is not valid, like format is not valid. So that is like minimum client side validation. And JavaScript is also used for monitoring purposes. So if you write any online exam, this JavaScript can be used for monitoring the exam. So if you switch the tab from exam tab to another Google tab, or if you open a new tab, then the alert will raise telling that you have switched the tab and you cannot switch anymore. So this JavaScript is very useful in creating such environments, like monitoring environments, and so much you can do with JavaScript. I mean, like without sending any request to the server, JavaScript acts as some mini server with the client side. So enough theory guys, now let's get started writing some code. So to include any JavaScript code, you need to say script. Script tag is used to define the JavaScript code, and this script tags can be put anywhere in your HTML file. Even you can keep after the body. So I am putting in the head tag after the title tag. So what you want to do is you can just put the JavaScript code and it will be executed by the browser. So let's say alert. So this is one type of like notification alert you get in the website. Let's say hello world. And what you want to do is you want to put the semicolon at the end. And so what I want to do is I want to install an extension called live server. I have already installed this. As you can see, this is the live server extension for Visual Studio Code. What it does is it will automatically refreshes the web page when we save our HTML file. So right click on this and you can see open with live server. So as you can see, a browser tab has been opened and it says hello world. So after clicking the alert, then our HTML content is displayed. So let me set you like this. So alright, I think it's visible, right? Okay. So first we got the alert box and then the HTML content is loaded. So first, if there are any alerts like this, then it will be loaded into JavaScript. You can see this alert function in detecting any XSS vulnerabilities. If you have already done, you will know that you keep the script alert and put some message to detect any XSS vulnerabilities. Okay, this is inline JavaScript, but we don't do like this. We want to write the JavaScript code in additional file, and we will link to this. So as you can see, whenever I am changing the content of HTML, the website is getting automatically reloaded by our live server extension. So I want to say script src is equals to say demo.js. So I still did not create the demo.js. So I want to show you one thing. I want to right click on this, click on inspect, and if you go to console, this is like runtime environment of your JavaScript. You can execute the JavaScript code here. Let's say alert of hi. If I hit enter, now it says hi. So you can just, it's like mini console. You can execute some JavaScript commands, I mean statements. Let's say clear. So console was cleared. So before we got an error that there is no demo.js. So let's go and create that file also. Let me save this as demo.js. So if I save here, so now we did not get any error, and also website has been refreshed. Now let's write the same alert of hi. Now as you can see, the website has been reloaded by live server and we got hi. Okay, now this console is like output of the JavaScript and like runtime execution. So we can output some content to this console. To do that, you need to say console.log. Console.log, say hello world. So as you can see, the hello world has been printed to the console. In this way, if your JavaScript contains any error, you can get these errors in this console according to the line with the line numbers also. You can see demo.js colon line number 1. So this line number has printed the hello world. So you can also generate a error messages, console.error, say my error. As you can see, there is a red color symbol telling the my error. So if you got any error like syntax defining, then you will get this error with the message. So this is one way of printing the output to the console. So let's talk about the variables. So first let me talk about the comments. In the JavaScript, the 2 forward slashes are comments. So this is comment. So even after refresh, this is comment did not print out because this is considered as a comment and ignored by browser. So multi-line comments are /* and */. If you are coming from C programming or C++, the same comments you can see in the C and C++. You can say hi. So after refresh, we did not get any output. So let's talk about these variables. So there are 3 ways to define a variables. One is using var, and another one is using let, and another one using constant. So when I learned this JavaScript in my college, it's like 2 years ago, they have told me about only var and constant. So in this year summer, I have learned again basics of JavaScript to revise, to make sure that I am like revised JavaScript. So then I saw this let. So this my college have told me so much of the basic content. So they did not even tell me about the let. So I am going to define the difference between these 3. First, var stands for global variable. You can declare a variable using var, and that variable can be accessed by any function and any method. If that function changes this variable, then the value will be changed. So let is like local variable. So if you define this let in a function, then that variable cannot be accessed by outside of that function. So this constant is, when you declare a variable using the constant, then that value is fixed. We cannot reassign the same value, another value to that same variable. So let me show all these examples where a is equals to 10. You need to put the semicolon. So let me say let. So even when I am simply writing, our live server is being reloaded. You can see uncaught reference let is not defined since we are defining it. So let's go and define it. Let b is equals to 20 and say constant is equals to constant c is equals to 40. Alright. Now as you can see there are no outputs. Now what I want to do is I will reassign the c value is equals to 60. So we got the error, assignment to constant variable to uncaught type error. So this is an error, type error, because we have mistyped it, because we cannot reassign the value to a constant variable. So once if you assign the value 40 and that's it, c value stores only 40. So how to output these variables? You can say console.log of. So one way to easily output these variables are putting this back quotes. So you can see the back quotes, and then what you want to type is value of a is a. So if I type this, we got the value of a is a, but we need to put the value of 10, that is a variable. So what you want to do is you want to say dollar and open brace and close brace. In that braces you need to put the value of a. So the value inside these dollar open braces and close braces is interpreted by a variable, interpreted as a variable, and the value of that variable is placed in the string. So you can see value of a is 10. So the a value is 10. In the similar way I can say console.log of value of b is, so the value of b has been printed. So we have seen the basic data types, and let me change this 20 value to a string. So in other programming languages like C, C++, Java, you need to define the data type. So you want to, if you want to say integer, you need to say int b is equals to 20, like int a is equals to 30. So in this JavaScript you don't need to define that. You can just say let and say b is equal to string. Let's say hello world. So now value of b is hello world. You can just simply assign a string or number or a floating point value to a variable without worrying about the data types. And to check the type of that variable, you need to say so what you want to do is there is a method called type of. You need to say type of. Okay, I think it works as a string. Okay, let's so there is a type of function in the JavaScript which defines the which returns the value of the type of that variable. So I have said here data type of b is, this is just a message to print, and the type of b. this type of is a inbuilt function you can use in JavaScript directory. Type of B, you can see B is string, right? That's why it has been outputted string. If I say value of A, it will output as number. So there is no integer or floating point. It will, JavaScript will take everything as a number. So now I want to discuss about the loops. So sorry, first I will discuss about the relationship operators. First let me discuss about this addition, subtraction, division, then we will go to the relationship operators. So as you can see, the identifier A has been already declared. Let's remove this. Okay, I'm sorry, I will take everything. I need to say this as again B is equals to 30, it will be fine, but I have put the let A is equals to 30 and let B is equals to 40. Now let C is equals to A plus B. Now the C value contains the addition of these two numbers 30 plus 40, which is 70. Now I will try to output this. Now if I say console.log of C, you get the value 70. If I say minus, it will give minus 10. So if I say multiplication, I get 1200. And if I say divided by, I get some 0 point something, okay, 0.75. So in this way these additional and normal arithmetic operations work. Okay, I don't know it is remainder or not. I should get 30, right? Yes. This double slash can also be work as the remainder operator. So there are other relationship operators like greater than, less than, greater than equal to, less than or equal to, and almost equal to, I mean double equal to and triple equal to. So we will look at this. So A is 30 and B is 40. Since A is less than B, let's check that A less than B. So we have got the true. So this true is the boolean data type. The boolean data types contains only two values, that is either true or false, and that indicates that the statement is true or false. So A less than B, 30 less than B, obviously it is true, right? That's why we got the output true. And if I say greater than, so we got the false. And if I say greater than equal to, we can say false, and less than equals to, we get the true. So if I say A is equals to B, we get to false. So this A is equals to B stands for we need to compare the values of 30 and 40. Normally JavaScript will convert these values into string, that means 30 into string and 40 into string, and then it will compare the, check the comparison whether they are equal or not. So there is also called the triple equal to, that stands for the data types of A and B are also checked. Now if I say 40, so they are true because A is an integer 40 and B is also integer 40. Let's say B is equals to string 40, we get the false because the data types of A and B are different. A is integer and B is string, that's why we got the false. So I think you have understood. Generally we use the triple equal to make sure that they are both data types and both are equal. So now let's talk about the loops. So these loops are used for repeating the same process over some number of times. So the syntax of first one is we will say the for loop for where I is equals to 0, because I is used in many programming languages as a iterator, because in the word iterator, the iterator starts with I. Then generally we use I. For I is equals to 0, I less than 20, I plus plus. So what this means is, first we are declaring a variable I is equals to 0, and the second one is comparison statement, whether we are comparing I with 20, I less than or 20, and then we are incrementing I plus plus. So I plus plus means I is equals to I plus 1. So we are just incrementing the value of I. So this loop will execute until the I less than 20 condition satisfies. Suppose after looping 19 times, you get the I is equals to 20. So after checking I is equals to 20, this condition will get false, and then this code inside these open braces will not get executed. So let's say console.log of I. So as you can see, the values of I we are printing, and those are from 0 to 19. So at first iteration I is equals to 0. Since I is less than 20, then it will execute this statement, which is printing 0, and then the I value gets incremented to 1, and then again this loop continues until I less than 20. So after 19, I becomes 20 at this statement I plus plus, and then this I less than or 20 is checked. So 20 is not less than 20, because 20 is equals to 20. That's why we got the false. That's why this loop got exited. So another important loop we are going to see is while loop. So while loop is also like similar to this for loop. So in while loop we need to increment manually, not in the loop. So let me show you that. Let's say where I is equals to 0 again, and what you want to say is while a condition. So we need to specify the condition only, I less than 20. So until the I less than 20, this loop gets executed. So let's say console.log of I. So we have the value first I is equals to 0, and then I less than 20, so it's true, and then we are printing the value of I, and this executes infinitely because we are not incrementing the I value, and for every iteration of while loop I value stays at 0. That's why what you want to do is you want to say I plus plus. So I think we have done right, we have done correct. Sorry, okay, let me open manually. Let me inspect console. So as you can see, there are 0 to 20. So let me remove this. As you can see, the number increases because we are not incrementing the I, and the I value stays at 0, and 0 less than 20, this loop will execute infinitely. That's why care should be taken that you need to this variable is incremented or not. Okay, let me close this. So here we are incrementing the I value, and we got the 0 to 19 values. So next I am going to tell you is if loop. the syntax is if of condition, and since we have got the I is equals to 19, we can say, so let's say simply I is equals to 20, and I want to test if the value of I is equal to 20 or not. For that I want to say I is equals to 20. I want to check the data type also, and then I want to open a braces, and then I can put console.log of I value is equal to 20. So first we have the I is equals to 20, then we are checking the condition I is equals to 20 in the if loop. If this condition is satisfied, the code inside this open braces gets executed. Let me refresh this page, and you can see the value of I is 20. Now I want to check, so the value of I is 20, else I should say value is not equal to 20, right? To do that we can say else. So if the value is equals to 20, then it prints the value of I is 20, else we get the output value of I is not 20. Let's make the variable I is equal to 30 and then refresh our page. So we can see value of I is not 20. So what if you want to check whether the greater than 20 or less than 20 or is equal to 30 or 20? Okay, so first in condition we have checked the equality, and we can write more if loops, like if else loops, using the else if. You can say else if of condition, and if I greater than 20, we need to say value of I is greater than 20. So and then we can say else. So if this is equal to 20 and or greater than to 20, and the last condition will be lesser than 20, you can just say console.log lesser than 20. So we get the output as value of I greater than 20 because we have set the I value as 30. So now I am going to change the I value to 10. Since it is less than 20, this else loop gets executed. Value of I less than 20. You can see value of I is lesser than 20. So let me comment out this while loop for a while. Okay, fine. Now output is somewhat cleaner. Now these are some basics of the JavaScript. Now we will see the array, and then we will see the DOM model, that is document object model, which is very important one. And to declare array, we need to say where a is equals to new array of you need to specify the values you want to put that in array. So a already been declared. Okay, a has already been. So let me take this one as error. So let me print out the array value. So you can see there are three values and are represented by 1, 2, 3, and here you can see the length value 3. Okay, and then at 0 index we have got the 1. So in JavaScript or any other programming languages, the array's index starts from 0. So the first value will be the 0 index and the first one value 1, right? and the second element is the first index, and the third value is the second index. You can see here the 0 index is the first element, and first index is the second element, and second index is the third element. You can access these single elements using the brackets, square brackets. You can say array of 0. If you refresh this page, you can see the value is only 1. So the first element of this array, that is 0th index, and that is 1. If I change it to 1, I get the value as 2. You can also specify the strings also. So in JavaScript, array can have multiple data types. In other programming languages like C, C++, Java, array should contain a single data type. If that array is declared as integer array, it should contain all integers. If the array is considered as a character array, it should contain only characters. But in JavaScript, the arrays can contain multiple data types. Let's say hi, and I can access using this 4, right? So there is no fourth value, sorry, that is 3, my bad. So you can see the value of hi is printed, and we can loop over through this array using the for loop. You can say for I is equals to 0. Since I we have previously declared, I am not going to declare it. I less than, we can get the length of this array using the array.length. Because we don't know, in this case we know that there are 4 elements, but in general case we don't know the length of the array. That's why we get the array of length using the array.length, and then I plus plus. So if the array.length value is 4, in our case, this for loop executes from I is equal to 0 to 4. 0, 1, 2, 3. Those are the indexes of our array. So we can output this console.log of, I can say, array of I. So at each iteration, I value gets replaced by 0, 1, 2, 3, which is we get array of 0, 1, 2, 3, which are these elements. So if I refresh this, I can see values of all these arrays printed line by line. So there is another way of declaring the arrays. So this is the like common way you can see in other programming languages, like say 4, 5, sorry, let's say 6, 7, 8, 9. So this is, let's say, R1. So we have got the two arrays R1 and R2, and we can just concatenate, I mean add these two arrays. You can say R1 dot concatenate. So one thing I need to show is, if you type array object dot, and you can see Visual Studio has been showing me some methods of that array object. I can say, you can see the length, and these purple cubes are the functions, and these blue cubes are the variables. So what I want to do is concat of R2. So let me run this one. So array 1 did not get changed. This concatenate means take the array 1 and you add all the elements of the array 2 to the end of the array 1. So in our case, array 1 did not change, because this will not apply to array 1, but what you want to do is, you need to say R1 is equals to, sorry, what I did, okay, we have got the array 1 4 elements, array 2 4 elements. So array 1 dot concatenate of array 2 returns a entire whole array which consists of elements of array 1 and array 2. So that will be assigned to array 1. So if I refresh this page, you can see the whole array contains 1 to 3 high, and also elements of the array too. So this is one way of concatenating array elements. So you can append the values to the array using the push operation. Array1 dot push off, you need to say last item. So if I refresh this one, you can see the last item has been added to push added to the end of the array. So okay, these are the basics of JavaScript. Now we will move to the DOM model. Okay, don't think of DOM dictator. Okay, DOM stands for document object model. It means that the entire HTML will be treated as a object tree, and we can access these elements using some IDs and classes. So since this demo.js has been linked to index.html, we can access these elements of HTML using the IDs and classes. So this JavaScript can manipulate the elements of this HTML. So okay, this is the simple paragraph we have here. Now what I want to do is, I want to say id is equals to say id1. So this paragraph tag has a id1, and we can access this paragraph tag using the document methods. That one is document dot get element by id. So when I type the get element, the Visual Studio Code has been suggesting me to use these methods are available. So we need to specify the id name, get element by id of id1. Now we have got the object. Now what we want to do is, we need to change the paragraph text, that means this one, and this can be accessed by inner HTML property. You can say dot inner HTML. You can see the inner is smaller and HTML is capital. As you can also see, get element by id are the camel case. So I want to say modified paragraph. So let me close this console. So we have first accessed the paragraph id using the get element by id of id1, and then we are changing the object's inner HTML, that is this one. This is the paragraph, and upon execution, this text will be replaced by this modified paragraph text. If I refresh this page, okay, why this did not get modified? Document get element by id. Okay, sorry, this id1, this div block has also the id1, that's why maybe confused about using which one. So now if I read out the HTML file, this is a simple paragraph will be replaced by our modified paragraph text. If I refresh this page, so still it's not getting. So let me change it to sample. Alright, let me give the symbol quotes. Okay guys, now I have resolved this error. Okay, what we want to do is we need to first the script is executing and then it is directly asking the sample id and then changing the inner html, because it's saying the inner html of null. When the script is executing, it is not finding the our paragraph. So what I want to do is I will cut this one and I will paste after body. So that will make sure that these all elements are first loaded into the html, and then upon execution of javascript the file will be loaded. I mean all the html elements will get loaded, and then this javascript will execute at the last. So let me refresh this. Now you can see the modified paragraph. So this is one mistake I have done. So it's also good practice to keep the script at the end of the html file. Okay, in this way you can modify the elements by id. So this is general and most used by many developers, get element by id. So there is another method called get element by class name, and if I say sorry, okay, alright, we have the another paragraph. So let's say class is equals to, let's say class is equals to sample2. Now I can access this by document dot get element by class name, and we need to specify the class I want to access, which is sample2. Okay, now what I want to do is I will first console this console.log this one. Now as you can see in the output we got the collection. So in the collection the 0 index is p.sample2, that is paragraph with class sample2. To access this HTML collection you want to say it is like array, you can access using the square brackets, and the first element is 0, that is the paragraph dot sample2. And what we want to say, we want to change the HTML of that content of that paragraph tag. Let's say modified class paragraph. And let me say modified id paragraph. It will be much clear for us. So if I refresh this page, you can see the modified id paragraph and modified class paragraph. So it's one problem is we are directly modifying the paragraph. We can also say a button, and on clicking that button a function of JavaScript can execute. So let's say button, I will say click me. So this line breaks and the button and 2 line breaks. Let's see how it will be. So this click me has no functionality. If I click this multiple times it will not happen. So we can execute a function on clicking this button. So I could say there is an attribute called on click, and I should mention the function name. So let's say clicked as a function, and we need to write this clicked function in our JavaScript file. So to write a simple functions, you can say function and the function name click, and you want to write some code what to happen after clicking this button. So functions are very like sample piece of code. If you have 1000 lines of code, you want to execute 4 times, you don't need to copy paste all those 1000 lines of code 4 times. What you can do is you can copy paste in this function, and you can call this single function 4 times, so that your 1000 lines of code will execute four times. It for simplicity purposes. You don't need to uh, make the size of the code bigger, so we can use the functions. So let me copy this sample, let me cut this actually to find the difference. Let me paste it in here. So upon clicking the button, we are changing the paragraph uh, into the modified id paragraph. So let me show you this. Upon refreshing, you can see this JavaScript has been executed. This is the class paragraph. Now this is a sample paragraph which belongs to this id sample. Now upon clicking the button, this function gets executed. So what this function does is it will change the contents of this sample id paragraph to modified id paragraph. So now I am going to click this, and you can see the text has been changed to modified id paragraph. So this is like basic functionality you can add by for buttons. Okay, you can also cut this line and you can add here. So if I refresh this, when clicking this button, the both text paragraph gets changed, as you can see. Okay, now I can also change the CSS styles. Let me copy this. So one way to access this CSS stylings is using dot operator, and you can say dot style dot property. So what property of the CSS styling you need to change? Let's say color. And what I want to do is, instead of modified id paragraph, I need to say simply red. So now upon refreshing this page, we got the sample paragraph and sample class paragraph. If I click this one, you can see the text has been changed to modified id paragraph, and the color also has been changed to red. I can also simply say font family also. So there are ton of properties and the methods for the DOM model. You can just refer online, or there is a Mozilla Developer Network's documentation on JavaScript and HTML CSS also. You can refer that. That is the best documentation ever. And I can say font and family. I need to specify the font I want to use. Let's say Helvetica. So upon refreshing, if I click the button, you can see that font also changed to Helvetica. So I think I have covered the most basics of this JavaScript. Okay, that's all about this JavaScript, guys. And you can also pass the parameters also. So one thing I need to show you is you can write the content to the HTML file. I forgot. I think I forgot this method. Document dot write ln. Yes, write, and you need to write the HTML code here. So let me show you this one also. So upon clicking this button, the extra code hello world should be added. Okay, it has been changed everything to the hello world. Okay, I'm sorry, I just forgot this write and write ln, because generally developers use the console rather than this write or write ln. And this, okay, upon changing all this, the document dot write got executed. So this document dot write can be used for some user based applications like addition, subtraction, and so on. And I want to show you another one called document.cookie. I think our HTML does not contain that one. So this document.cookie contains the cookies of that particular session in that website. Generally we do not have any server side cookies, but I want to just show you the syntax. If I click me OK, that's fine. And then if I go to this inspect console, so there is no cookie. Okay, there is no cookie for our this simple HTML and JS. So whenever you are dealing with some server side websites, they will definitely send a cookie, and you can access this cookie using this document.cookie property. So the whole document's cookie will be displayed using this document.cookie. So whenever you have some accesses, you can execute this document.cookie to see the cookies. Also you can send these cookies to any server. It's called cookie stealing using accesses, or you can also call it a session hijacking. So we will see this in the web pen testing, but I want to show you this document.cookie. We can access the cookie. So I think these are the basics you need to know about the JavaScript. If you are nice in this, okay, you are pretty much good. But if you want to go deep dive into JavaScript, okay, that's not bad. You can just search for YouTube tutorials. Since this is not web development, I'm not going to cover all the JavaScript code here. I just showed you the basics. So that's all for the basics of JavaScript.